What's up, everybody? I'm Parth here with Pierre, Quell, and Coach T on the Philly Blitz TV stream. Still kind of hurting. We were just talking about it. Just take over,
Still
man,
means
please.
I'm in pain.
That doesn't
Not a
sound
time
right.
for
if you're
that,
in
Quell.
pain. I'm saying,
Do y'all not know the meaning of wubba lubba dub dub? It means I'm in great pain.
It's
not
the
a
dumbest
regular
thing I've
measure.
ever heard. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, Quell.
You need to go watch more TV, Coach.
because Coach would be a total Rick and Morty type of guy.
No.
Coach and Rick and Morty go crazy, I tell you. Coach would be dropping Rick and Morty blips in the group chat like Pierre gonna be like, "What did you just say?"
I'm gonna go to sleep tonight and I'm gonna watch it.
Coach is a total Rick.
Don't have any expectations going into it. Just keep
I
it
don't
open.
have expectations for anything, Parth.
And after we lost
Clearly.
the Super Bowl, what is his
Yeah.
expectations?
I don't. Yeah. Well, we're here. Where do we
Wait.
go from here? Where do the Eagles go from here?
They better go up.
They will, because we got rid of Jonathan Gannon. Thank you, Lord. I have been.
Praise the Lord.
Quell is in shambles, and my agenda is thriving.
I'm not in shambles. I'm gonna only be in shambles if we freaking hire Vance Joseph. I'm gonna be in shambles.
I know. And
Please
that's
do
what I want to
not
talk
hire
about.
that man.
Dude, you don't think he's learned in
No.
the past couple of years?
No.
Quell just doesn't want to see teams blitzing. I want to see teams blitzing.
No, I'm an
Joseph's
advocate for
good.
blitzing. I sneaky watched a whole lot of Giants games this year because I like Wink Martindale. Coach here be saying
sneak
that like,
watch.
what? Wink Martindale, what?
cheating on the
Blitzing,
team
like
like
Mac
that?
McDonald. You mean the guy from Michigan? The guy that replaced him? Yeah, I know. I just like a lot of pressure sometimes. But it's more so in how the defense is created here in Philadelphia. I get y'all. We could use growing up. You used to watching Jim Johnson, you used to watching Jim Schwartz. All these guys. I
All
would
these
say
Jim-
Billy Davis, but Billy Davis don't deserve to be mentioned in the same breath as them other two.
Gator great.
But
Gator coach great.
please, goodness gracious, don't say that again. Anyway, for the lifetime we used to leaving our quarterbacks on islands, letting them do them. Just don't get hold. That's the only thing. That's all. That's it. And I guess I feel y'all, but I never felt that when we was watching them defenses. I always stressed myself out because I don't know about you, but I get sick and tired of watching the ball flying over my head for 60-yard touchdowns every
But
other week.
What I'll say is we didn't have the horses at corner that we have now.
Yeah.
When we played with Jim Schwartz, we were trotting out
We
Jalen
have at
Mills.
corner. We
and
have Darius
Ronald
Slay.
Darby. We have now it's different. So we'll see what happens. But my issue with Jonathan Gannon, to get back to my slander, because I'm not going to have many chances. First off, his video was awful. Bird Gang, what's up? Cardinals, Arizona. I'm Jonathan Gannon. Like, thanks, dude. It's such a weirdo, man.
If you can get some money for being an impersonator, you would get paid a lot.
Would he?
That was on the money, coach. I don't know what you're talking about.
That was good.
My issue is just like last year we gave him the excuse of not having talent. This year he has the talent. We see defensive coordinators throughout the league make more with less, and that's a sign of a good coach in my eyes. Like, he might be good at teaching things and all these things. He might be a good, inside the locker room guy. That's what everyone says, and so that's why everyone maybe likes him. Maybe he's a great interview, but at the end of the day, like, I want to see you do less with more, and now you have more, and it's like it's the same thing. I had one thing that I talked about all year, that every time we play a good quarterback, the same thing happens. We can't defend the middle of the field. We can't we can't defend the intermediate routes, and then it's death by 1,000 paper cuts, right? And
so I must ask you, because I've been thinking about this in my head I'm gonna get to you in 1 second, Coach. But I've been thinking about this a lot. That's what, honestly, it all began when I sent what I sent in the group message. But, brother, does it not bother you that the Super Bowl MVP had 182 yards and 81 of those yards went to a singular player? Like, Y'all act like Jonathan Gannon got ripped to shreds. They attacked the
Yeah.
middle of the
No,
defense where the defense
it
is
bothers
weak
me.
at always.
But dude, make an adjustment. It's the biggest game of the year. All we talked about is throw the kitchen sink, figure it out, make adjustments. Our biggest issue with JG is a lack of adjustments. He plays scared when he plays better quarterbacks. He's like we didn't force any low percentage throws. And that's not a recipe for success. I think the recipe for success is getting pressure on the quarterback, forcing low percentage throws. And okay, maybe you can have the field, you can have there's aspects to this, but at the end of the day, both teams played on the same field, so they were able to figure it out. And
Nick said that. Nick said that in his press conference today.
Let's get to Coach.
Howie. It was Howie. Go ahead, Coach.
At the end of the day, players play the game. Coaches don't play the game. All right, so you can do whatever you want to try to put players in positions to make plays, but at the end of the day, they have to make plays. So we talk about getting pressure on the quarterback. We didn't get pressure on the quarterback. You can't use the field as the excuse because the other team played on the same field, right? We didn't get pressure on the quarterback. That's players, right? Players didn't get pressure on the quarterback coverage-wise, right? You can dial up all different kinds of coverages that you want, but the players didn't get the job done on the outside. And where they attacked the defense the most, like Quell and Parth, you even mentioned, was the middle of the defense, that deep middle zone where, you have middle of the field open with the split safeties, right? So what's the weakness in coverage in the secondary? The weakness in coverage was Marcus Epps all year. He's great against a run coming down. He sticks his nose in there, but he can't cover, right? What else is the weakness in the defense in terms of coverage? Our linebackers, they can't cover, right? So where did they attack the Eagles defense? Right down the middle in that intermediate to deep zone in the middle part of the defense where we had the weaknesses, and it was exposed because our guys up front didn't get pressure when they needed to get pressure. So at the end of the day, we can whine and complain and point the finger at all the coaches and everything, but at the end of the day, players play the game. You get paid a lot of money to go out there and play the game, and they didn't play their best game when it mattered the most.
I don't disagree.
That's just
with
simple.
You.
That's just how it is with football.
It is, but you're supposed to put your players in the best position to succeed. You're a coach. I think you would agree with that, right? And running cover 0 in the red zone against Patrick Mahomes is not a good idea. Having Marcus Epps in one-on-one coverage with Travis Kelce is not a good idea. Why is the solution?
Where'd they run 0 in the red zone?
They ran 0 in the red zone.
They called 0. They called it.
It was one of the 2 touchdowns when they ran them little fake motion.
You sure that was 0?
Yes. Yeah, because Patrick Mahomes called it out. But
so why were they passing off then? Why were there mixed communications with the corners and the nickel and the safety
in there?
It was
one of the touchdowns, but it's
even NFL films. You can hear Patrick Mahomes talking about it on the sideline. I think Eric Bieniemy or the quarterback's coach, whoever he is. I'm sorry, I don't remember his name. But
Kafka, right?
No, Kafka's
he's in New York.
He's in New York. Yeah, Kafka was old.
But whoever it was, you heard Patrick talking to him. He was like, yeah, you could see the 0 blitz from a mile away. Like they called 0. Now, I mean, again, we guys, and I know it's different. None of us ain't ever been in the NFL. They never called plays. I mean, coach is the only person closest to calling plays to anybody here. But we was having a conversation earlier about how we all play Madden and all that stuff. And I tell you one thing, I know I told y'all I send pressure and everything, but cover 0 at that point in time in the red zone is something you do when you're on your heels. And he felt like the team was on his heels. And kind of going into what Coach said, I mean, there are times where an offensive coordinator can get a defensive coordinator on his heels, and it's like, what the hell is going on? But in this instance, I don't think it was that. I think Gannon tried his best to put the team in position and tried to call whatever play he felt like could work in that moment. That's why everybody's been giving him hell this whole week. I mean, I know the second half was bad. The second half was really bad. I think that draft that we're talking about right now played a lot into why the second half was bad, because it just went to show that it really didn't matter what you went to. You could try to put your guys in position. At this point, we're better coaches than you are. And I mean, that's not saying anything bad about Gannon. I mean, I know it sounds like we're taking a dump on him or something, but That's not saying anything bad about Gannon. Your first year play call, second year play caller. I'm sorry, second year play caller. First time this deep in a playoff run, and you playing against coaches who've been here before. I sat here on this podcast, this very podcast, and said weeks back, I think we're gonna play the game of our life against the San Francisco 49ers, and we're gonna get to the Super Bowl, and we're gonna get out coach. And that's what happened. We got to the second half of that game when we got out coached. And it's again, like Coach said, it's easy to sit here and put 100% of the blame on Gannon, but at some point, like at least how I view this, and y'all let me know if I'm wrong, if y'all look at it any different type of way. But how I viewed it is, if a team gonna sit here and run the same play on me, I mean, yeah, I know I got a play call that the play caller called, but I know what's coming. So at some point, I got to do something different. I got to make a play. I know what's coming. It's in my face. And for them to score 2 touchdowns on the same play call and for the same issue to be, and it's crazy because they just flipped to the other side on the opposite touchdown. And for the same issue to be the issue to either way, communication is just disappointing in terms of the players on the field.
It's also part of the design, right? They're supposed to bump inside, then they have to get back outside with the motion.
Yeah, but at some point you would have thought after the first touchdown that happened, they would have talked.
Exactly. That's my point.
Because again, on the NFL films, Kansas City went to the sidelines and Patrick Mahomes said with his own voice, they biting crazy on those jet sweeps.
They're going crazy on the jet sweeps, guys. We got him on the crosser.
Damn, man, we need to get my man an Oscar today.
No, yeah. Look, I'm not saying that the players didn't execute. I mean, the videos of everyone falling over, no pressure, like Mahomes was fine. All my bets were revolving around a sack from Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick. So I'm fully there with you. So I understand. But my issue and the reason I keep going after Gannon is because these are things that I had complained about all year. Like that this defense just by design allows you to die by 1,000 paper cuts if it comes to that. If a quarterback is willing to do it, they'll take it. They did it in the Cowboys game. I still remember. I remember like hopping on the podcast with you last year after the Raiders game. Like it was brutal. Derek Carr just looked like the second coming of like Tom Brady right there, just incarnate, just hitting everything underneath, and they were just getting yak on us. You miss tackles, you do this. I mean, it was a colossal failure. On so many fronts.
I feel you.
But how is that Gannon's fault though? Because at the end of the day,
he stays rigid in the scheme, coach. He's stayed by this. I'm gonna minimize the big play all year. At one point, you have to adjust. Like as a play caller, if something isn't working, you have to change it. If your players might not be playing, but I still think as a play caller, you can put your players in better positions to succeed. Like I said, calling a zero blitz in the red zone against Patrick Mahomes, if you're not if your guys just can't get any footing, it's not a great idea.
Because I think I get an opportunity what you about to say. What better opportunity is there at this point than playing quarters? You are protecting everything behind you. There is nothing beyond that. And I mean, you hear when you even heard, if you watched the Fox pregame show, Fred Warner talk about how the game plan for the 49ers was to basically make the cornerbacks bite on double moves, for lack of a better term, because they saw how aggressive they played in crosses. So you see that the team plays very aggressive defensively. So you don't think the Eagles, we watch the game and we sit here and say, well, they just give up everything in front of them and he just want to play deep. You don't think that they know that? You don't think that they sitting here saying, hey, we know the ball going right there. Let's get to the ball. At some point, again, you got to make a play defensively.
My question overall is like, what would you have liked done differently? Like what specifically would you have liked to change? What adjustment would you like to change? You can
drop a rob. You can use CJ as a robber. You can have him be in the middle of the field more. We talked about it. You can use safety. You can use safety play to help out with your linebackers who are struggling in coverage. Instead of having Marcus Epps on Travis Kelce one-on-one, you could put the guy who's a slot corner and has covered Travis Kelce before. Like, I mean, the reason we have these safeties is because they can inter-rotate. Why don't you use the guy who has the gifts there? It doesn't make sense. These are coaching.
You
decisions don't
understand
make
you're
sense.
going against a damn wizard on the other side of the field. So
I'm not
he sees
denying
you.
that. I'm
Bro,
not
listen,
denying
let
that.
me-
But for
let
a
me
guy who's
just-
been getting head coach hype for the last 2 years, and everyone's saying he's some special defensive coordinator, I don't see it. I've
Because he
seen him
was,
just
dude.
be
He had
a coach
he had
by
the
decent
number
quarterbacks
two or
every
three
time they
defense
play.
in the
Let
NFL
him
this year.
cook. Let him cook.
He had like the number.
Yeah,
he
I
had
don't.
a top
Coach,
defense this
he
year in
did.
the
He
NFL.
had the number 1 defense in the NFL this year. He also had one of the most talent-loaded rosters in the NFL this year.
That's not his
If he
fault.
didn't have
y'all
it
keep saying
on
that,
the
brother.
defensive
We
side of the
sat
ball, he
here and watched the
absolutely is.
Dream Team defense filled with a talent roster, finished nothing. Like you giving up points after they ran into each other as Victor Cruz ran by for touchdowns.
Listen, I'm not saying
talent isn't like
bro,
we
he
we
did a
watched the
fine
same
job
sport, bro.
against
How many times have teams
underperforming
built a
quarterbacks. What
team
happened when we
full of
played good
talent and
quarterbacks?
it didn't
What
work?
happened when we played Dak Prescott? He was 26 of 26 against their zone.
And I told
It
you,
has
Dak Prescott
happened
did
all
that
year.
against pretty much everybody this year.
I don't.
It's big.
Then maybe don't run
Coach,
so
it's
much zone
bigger
against
than
him
that.
and lose the
It's
game like
bigger
that.
than Dak Prescott did that against bigger than everybody. And that's the problem with a lot of people. Nobody wants to talk context, man. Because you sit here, if anybody with a brain watched that football game and watched the first drive of that game and saw how Jonathan Gannon was using Avonte Maddox, he was in the nickel one play. He rotated to the safety the next play. That was the Avonte Maddox game. What happened on that first drive? Avonte Maddox went down. What happened after that? The defense went vanilla. Why? Because how many times have I said all season long, we talked about how important that nickel safety position is to Jonathan Gannon. He lost it. He already didn't have CJ because CJ was hurt for that game. So getting Avonte Maddox back was huge, and he lost that. So what did you expect him to do? He went to a position of putting his undrafted rookie free agent safety in a position where he couldn't fail. And granted, he wasn't the reason that we lost, but he didn't put this whole defense in positions to succeed.
I wouldn't let a guy go 26 to 26. You make a change at some point.
I mean, at some point, you would think that's on the players, though, right? Like, y'all know what the hell
it can be on the players, so then maybe stop calling those plays. If they can't make the plays, if they can't execute the play, why are you still calling it? That doesn't make sense. If your team can't do something, why would you
so what the
continue
hell
to
you
call
want me to call if I just sat here and told you that what my whole game plan was revolved around went out? So now I'm being as vanilla as possible.
Man coverage was working. There were 16 snaps of man coverage, and he completed like 45%.
Yeah,
you can put context in there, but there's ways to change things up. I don't know why we sit here and make excuses for this guy who has had the same thing happen to him for 2 years. No matter the offensive talent, no matter who is there, he has struggled against above average quarterbacks who are willing to not just take the big play. Anyone who doesn't just, I need to take a deep shot can succeed against his defense.
All right. Let's move on. The guy's not in Philadelphia no more. We need a defensive coordinator. Who are you guys looking at?
I have no idea.
Anyone who actually wants to play defensive football. Who doesn't want to?
Lovey.
We've had this conversation in abundance in the group chat. I guess it's about time that we have this conversation live. I keep telling you guys how the current state of the NFL is set up. Everybody wants to run too high. Now it sounds like the Eagles wants to talk to Vance Joseph. I don't think he runs a whole lot of too high, but I'm also not a fan of that job. Like you see Coach shaking his head, and that was all I've been telling you guys all day. I mean, yeah, he's sending more pressure, but I don't think that's
he's
going
like
to help
poor
out.
man's Jim Schwartz. He sends these basic vanilla pressures and leaves everything in the back end of his defense vulnerable without any plan to kind of cover that up or help. That's why his defenses kind of suck everywhere he's been at some point.
What do we think about the guy at Wisconsin, Jim
Leonard?
Yeah, Jim Leonard.
Talk to me, Coach.
I just don't think he's ready. I just don't think he's ready. That's a big job.
Been in Wisconsin. That's a big job. It is a huge job. But you've been coaching Big Ten. I mean, I guess how I look at it, at least on my end, is you spent your whole career, or majority of your career, coaching Big Ten football. You and I both know what Big Ten football is. By the time November comes up, it's cold in these places. You got to bulk up in the middle of that field and tell these teams, hey, unless you play in Ohio State who wants to throw the ball across the yard for some reason, you got to bulk up in the middle of the field and tell them, don't run the ball against me. And Jim Leonard has been a wizard against that for a multitude of years now, And I mean, we just look at all of the prospects coming. I mean, especially at the linebacker position, where we if you sit here and look at where the Eagles are at right now, could possibly lose T.J. Edwards, could possibly lose Kaiser White. We don't know what they're gonna do at that position. I mean, of course, we got N'Kobe in the building, but a guy who has a history of bringing along quality linebackers, guys who are productive in this league, it's kind of something that appeals to me. I cannot lie to you about that.
No. And another name I saw mentioned was Gerard Mayo out of New England. I saw something that said, did New England like block him from interviewing?
They've been trying to keep him in the building forever.
Yeah, they did that a few years ago. I think he tried to interview with the Texans a couple years back or a year back. I don't know what happened with that, but New England is steady on keeping him in the building for some odd reason. I don't blame him. From what I've heard about him, it sounds like he has a really bright mind, but I just want to know at what point is it going to get the same way that it is on the offensive side of the ball, where you can't block guys for interviewing them jobs that are basically promotions. So I don't know. It's weird.
Lovie Smith.
That's a name that I wanted to talk about. I seen one of you, I can't remember if it was you or Parth, Pierre, that said something. It was kind of in a negative light, like hell no, basically. Who the hell wants that? And I was looking like, I don't know. I mean, based on like y'all heard the conversation that we've been having the whole time in the group chat in terms of how defenses are currently set up. And Lovie Smith, I seen a tweet earlier this year was how you know the Undertaker meme, Pierre, where Lovie Smith rose from the grave when he realized that cover 2 defenses was back. Too high, we good. I can run a quality NFL defense again. Let's go. So I mean I wouldn't be the biggest fan of it, but it's something to think about. That and especially given the fact that I saw something earlier this week and it kind of hurt my heart, especially given the way that the Eagles have gone about coaching hires recently. But it sounds like over the recent tandems, head coach, defensive coordinator to win Super Bowls, it sounds like the decent duo is quality play caller, of course, and a battle-tested defensive coordinator, somebody who's been there before, somebody who's been in the league for years, know what team's going to throw at you. It may not be the best defensive coordinator in the league. I mean, there are a few teams like Sean McVay and the Rams last year that fit the difference of this narrative, but for the most part, teams over the last 15 years or so, it was big on having a quality defensive coordinator, a veteran defensive coordinator, I should say.
I'm gonna throw a name out there, and y'all tell me what y'all think.
Okay? Mike Zimmer.
No, he was not the name, and hell no.
Why not? I think that's the best of both worlds. You give me your name first, but I'm preach the limb for Mike Zimmer.
Chris Richard. What do we think?
I think we see a little bit more cover 3 than we see, especially him working under what's his name, Dan Quinn. Yeah, Dan Quinn. At the same breath, he is kind of in the same emphasis. We gonna end up maybe at a different scheme, but in terms of views, we gonna end up in the same position we're in now, because being a secondaries coach, a DBs guy, like he's somebody who values having an extra body in the secondary. That's gonna matter to him, which means that's the extra guy that we don't got on the line or in your front 7. Which is what you guys at least have been complaining about over the last year or so. So I don't know if you guys would be personally satisfied with that, but it would be a nice name hire.
Why don't you like Mike Zimmer?
Oh, no. I don't like Mike Zimmer because we'd be basically entering the same world that we're in now, and he'd just be sending more pressure than what we do now. And I we've had this conversation. I understand that sometimes there are times to heat a quarterback up, and there's times it's not. And I understand the whole argument that JG got cute when quarterbacks that weren't good, for lack of better terms, versus quarterbacks who were high elite. I think that was for a reason. I mean, and I think we're gonna sit here and see the opposite side of the coin, and we're gonna be in the same breath. We're gonna sit here and see a defense sending a bit more pressure than they would under a Jonathan Gannon versus in a big time game, and the defense gets beat, and we're gonna sit here and say, "Why the hell are you blitzing? Shit, like stop, relax." And I'm gonna be sitting here from the back looking like, well, we had a defensive coordinator who didn't blitz at all and ran this exact same scheme.
I live with
and
losing
y'all
trying
hated it.
instead of just sitting there passively.
Oh my goodness, bro! You guys will never be happy.
Watch me. I'll bet you.
That's
be
the
smiling
thing.
all
Like,
season.
no
As
matter
long
what
as I see
name,
pressure,
no matter what name's brought up for the jobs, like
And that's what I told
someone,
you for a long
everyone's
time.
gonna find something wrong with it. If
I
you
said
ask
this a
me,
long time
you need to
ago.
find somebody that has years of
Wayne
experience
Phillips.
running a similar defense that we have been running, but you build off of it. You make the changes necessary so what happened at the end of this season doesn't happen moving forward. And
I'm
who
listening.
better to do that than the two guys that I named, Lovie Smith and Mike Zimmer?
Why
Because they
not Wade
both have
Phillips?
Lovie
experience
Smith
in a
is
very
too.
similar
with you.
If
defense.
you're gonna hire Lovie Smith, you're gonna be just as conservative as Jonathan Gannon. I'm out.
But he has experience,
too
though. He has
conservative.
experience
Yeah,
being a
you're
defensive
right,
coordinator
but
in big games. And
I'm with you, Parth. Wade Phillips. I would
I'm
love that
listening. I
hire.
was just about to say
I would
I'm
love that.
listening. I don't think I'm willing to listen to, especially given the fact of how the league is set up. Like I was listening to Jonathan Gannon. We don't play a defense. We're not 4-3. We're not 3-4. We whatever the team is running. I like that. I like that. This team could be a quality 3-4 defense, especially given the fact that both Hargrave and Cox are gone, so you don't have to worry about getting big money players on the field. You got Jordan Davis playing nose tackle. Like it's something to think about. It's interesting, for lack of a better term. At the same time, I don't know, man. It's that's a conversation. I don't know.
I'm gonna throw a name out there that we haven't talked about, who's probably the in-house favorite, Denard Wilson. Yeah.
I done said that name like 6 times today.
Oh,
We didn't kept going about them like, well, what about him? And I'm like, hire the guy in the building.
I think the only area that you hire within is offensive coordinator. And
Who's
everybody
you not
should
like?
know exactly who I'm kind of hinting
Yeah,
towards.
we kind of got an idea. We're gonna touch
Kevin
on that in a
Patullo.
few.
Wait.
Right.
Oh boy, I'm glad you said that. It sounds like the coach looking other directions, and we gonna keep both of them. That's what I like to hear. That's right. Keep them both. Don't mess with my offensive brain trust. You can go 3-play Steichen. Go ahead, get up out of here. But we got everybody else. That's what I like to hear. Go ahead, hire Jim Bob Cooter or Greg Roman or something of that
Bro,
nature.
if
That's
they
what I'm
hire
talking about.
Greg Roman, Shane Steichen and Greg Roman.
Hey, you can laugh all you want. I told you if they draft Anthony Richardson and that's the duo, I'm down for it. I'm listening.
They're gonna make
Let's
Anthony
roll.
run so much freaking QB power, dude. It's gonna be
QB power,
disgusting.
QB counter.
They're gonna just
wide
they're gonna
receiver
run his legs
screen.
off.
We back in college, baby. Let's roll. Make him successful with
He's
better
injury
players.
prone when he runs that much.
Look, you better figure it out. You're supposed to be the franchise quarterback. You gotta take some
Don't run
guidance.
power with him then.
Slide.
On power?
It don't matter what you want. Power, counter, draw. If somebody in front of you, slide.
What if your old lineman's in front of you, just sliding into his Achilles? Sorry, homie. It's right there.
Watch out of him. Just don't get hit. That's all I'm asking.
I'm just thinking about shooting the gap. Then you see the linebacker slide. Like, what?
Shit, I know y'all seen Jalen Hurts slide behind the line of scrimmage this year. Don't take that hit.
He should have done that on that one play. That's all I'll say. Just slide, brother.
Oh man, I'm glad you brought that up.
I don't know what the O-line was doing there, bro. They were just like looking around. It reminded me of the Jamon Brown play. You remember when he was fixing his gloves?
That play in itself gets so overblown. I done heard so many people talk about the Eagles would have won that game if that play didn't happen.
Yeah. Jalen came back and played. He more than
Yo,
made
it's
up
bigger
for
than
that.
Jalen came back, bro. We took a 10-point lead after that.
Yeah.
A 10-point lead.
Oh no, yeah, I wasn't.
That point,
yeah.
At some point, that
Listen,
play meant nothing.
If Quez Watkins doesn't freaking drop a freaking bomb or dime from Jalen, we win that game,
bro. With what's his name in his face, like didn't even have space to step up. Nick Bolton in his face didn't even have space to step into it on the money.
I love me some Nick Bolton. I couldn't say this during Super Bowl week. The pain is going down a little bit, so I can say it. Shout out Nick Bolton. I was a big Nick Bolton guy during the draft process. Rocket. That boy going to the quarterback is like a rocket. I love watching him. It's not many players in the league or in college that go to the quarterback. Like he see ball, get ball. I love it.
But if Quez doesn't drop that pass, we win that game, I believe.
If Quez doesn't fumble the ball, we win the Commanders game.
Look, y'all not about to keep blaming Quez, man.
He can get on Instagram and be like, "Don't be a fan later," but brother, track the ball over your shoulder. He's been doing it like something happened. I don't know what it was. It was like halfway through the season, he forgot how to track the ball. And he started doing this thing that I used to do like my sophomore year of high school, where you run, you try to turn around, and you try to jump and catch it. Just run underneath it.
Why you doing that dumb? I almost whatever. Hey, coach. I pitched this to the guys early, and Pierre told me I was pipe dreaming, basically. But so,
if Pierre told you you're pipe dreaming, then you're probably pipe dreaming, man.
Facts,
man. Yeah. Come on, coach. Be on the side, man. Come on,
tell me. I want to hear it.
So, Parth put out a mock draft. And he had
no, not another one of his mock drafts.
Look, we getting them right. My boy right. My boy is right.
Coach is just a hater.
You read a Parth mock draft, and you like, okay, I'm listening.
Juicy.
We can talk,
but I'm
listening.
Is it on Twitter?
No, I sent it to the group chat.
Well, send it to me now so I can look at it.
Nah, you ain't got to look at the entire thing. My whole thing in the mock draft was basically he took Nathaniel Tank Dale, wide receiver, Houston.
Oh, this is the other one. I'll send you that one. Yeah,
that kid that took over the Senior Bowl, for lack of a better term.
He's so fast, bro. Out of his breaks, it like
he said that's the Quez replacement, and I said he's probably more polished than Quez, more polished than Quez coming out of school at least.
Oh yeah,
I don't know if he's more polished than Quez right now, but more like he probably has a higher ceiling than Quez had. But
he might have
after the regression that Quez took this year.
But that's what I said. That's what I said. Hold on, hear me out, because this is what Pierre was got to win. You know what I'm saying? But I said, look, I know Quez had a bad year, but Quez been training with Calvin Ridley, bro. That was his dog. Calvin Ridley got suspended for the entire season. He couldn't train with his man no more.
Wait, Calvin he couldn't train outside?
I mean, he probably could, but who the hell wants to go train for nothing?
Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts would train for nothing.
I'm sorry, everybody isn't a rare breed. But his man was gone. His man back now. We back at it. They back at it. I mean, if you look at the difference between route running of Quez Watkins 2 years ago versus last year, it's a stark difference. My man back to his old ways this year. It looked bad. And I like to charge that to the fact that he didn't have his man teaching him what I'm saying?
So let me ask you this. So what you're saying is what you're expressing
heavily implying
right now is because Calvin Ridley couldn't train with Quez Watkins. That is the reason we saw the drop off in Quez Watkins' play. And because Calvin Ridley will be back next year, Quez Watkins' play will return to form.
Well,
That's what you.
to be fair, Quez can't train unless Calvin Ridley
fair
is
wide
there.
receiver 3. Now let
That's what you-
let the record state that I said that he's a fair wide receiver 3. But Quez will be back to form.
Y'all are making me stay up this late to hear conversations like this.
He says at 9:58 p.m. Yeah.
Boy,
I go to
that's a
sleep
man
at
that has
9.
kids.
I got a kid.
That's what you're telling me right now, man.
Huh?
That's what you're telling me, Quell. Calvin
Yeah.
Ridley's gonna make all the difference.
Coach Tony as a kid.
I'm standing on it. It make him work harder.
Jeez.
Heard my man's got some
Getting
sick
that.
bets though that he's waiting to make.
He took a step back, trying to
He
do
just
his
like
own
he just
thing.
like me. He just like me, Coach.
Not as efficient though.
No.
Not as efficient with the dubs.
No, definitely not.
Boy, we need to stop this now. Okay, let's
Does
get
Quez have
on
one more
to
year,
the
though?
next one.
Does Quez have? Is this the last year in his contract?
Yeah.
Right.
I think he's entering the
This
last year.
year is
Still.
the last
Okay.
year of his
Okay.
contract.
I wasn't sure if this was his contract year or not.
Yeah, it's the 4th year of the Quez Watkins thing, man. We've been trying, man. It's about
He's just
time
so
we
fast,
grab
man.
somebody that give him some push. I mean, we brought in Zach Pascal, but all he do is fucking block.
That's all right.
He caught a couple passes, but
Don't hate on him.
I love Zach. It ain't hating. I love Zach, but I understand what he's here for.
I don't know what he's here for. All he does is fucking block. He catches like 3
I ain't
passes
say what he
every
here
year.
for.
That's hating.
I said, I mean, all he does is fucking block. But I know
Hater.
why he here.
Hater.
Yeah. Quell hates receivers who can block.
Oh,
Yeah.
no. Come on, brother. I love Chip Kelly. You think I hate receivers? that
Quell
can
hates
block?
the
That's
trenches.
what we lead.
I hear Quell talk. He's
That's
like, "Yo,
what we
I don't even
love.
care about offensive and defensive lines, dude. Blocking, get it out of football. These are words out of your mouth, bro. I heard it. I heard you say it.
That's right. Ooh, I can do it by myself.
Here, you better round this up right now. You better gather it in, round it up. Let's go ahead, Honcho.
Next topic.
Let's
Eagles.
Oh, go ahead.
You got it.
No. I was gonna say something else. So just go for the topic, and then I'll say what I was gonna say after.
Don't let him say anything else, please.
Coach just knows I'm gonna prove him wrong.
What if
Eagles-
I ain't never been wrong in my life.
Me neither.
Ever. Ask
What
my
if he
wife.
said go
I told her
Birds?
she was going to marry me. She had no choice. Little did she know.
So there's never been a time that she's been right and you were wrong. I could ask her
Listen, how about you
Every
just shut your
other-
mouth, all right? And you stay sitting pretty in your Phillies hoodie, even though spring training's not here yet.
It's almost there. I know you seen that video of MLB The Show. I'm gonna buy it.
Why are you always so quiet?
He sits away from the mic. He goes.
I know, right?
He reclines and then he gets.
Cause
quiet.
you gotta chill out, man.
And then
Y'all
No,
want me
you
to
watch him.
yell the whole
No, you
time?
watch him. You watch him as he gets more into the conversation. Like lean up.
And
Every
then I'm
time.
quickly like I'm scrambling trying to find my volume button on my laptop. Like, oh my gosh, still turn it down.
Here
My
it comes.
speakers are
Here it
gonna
comes.
explode.
Boy.
Wait, so
Okay.
what were you gonna say here?
Anyway. So what do we do next?
Eagles championship
We
win.
done lost
Yeah.
championship, brother. We got 6 months before the season started, then another 6 months before we can even think about a championship. Like, oh boy, we are still in shambles.
Oh,
What is
can we
next?
not, dude? Oh my god, dude, I'm not ready for this.
How big is the championship window for the Eagles right now? That's the question. Right. So what does this window look like for the Eagles, especially with the contract obviously coming very soon, hopefully for Jalen? That's going to determine a lot of things. Like how do we see this window for a championship if we do see a window for a championship with this team?
That contract is going to mean everything, man. Everything. If they can get him to a Mahomes-esque deal, and I mean, I'm just pitching ideas because I seen something earlier talking about something like that. 10 years, $45 million a year. That, I mean, who the hell wants to hit $45 million a year? But I mean, given the salary cap is going up, and we gonna always be at a point where these players are making a whole lot of money. as they should. But
it's Howie Roseman. It's how
yeah,
like that.
that's the only thing
why
I'm banking on right now,
I
brother.
always come
It's
back to
Howie
it.
Roseman.
He's
Yeah, I
a
don't-
salary cap wizard.
I don't even like when people bring up questions about the salary cap or concerns. I don't worry about it.
Other
It's
teams,
Howie,
like, all right, but, like I saw people talking like T. Higgins has to leave, like is gonna leave Cincinnati, so their window's closing. Like, not every team has the salary cap experience that Howie does. Like, he's able to keep these players together. He's able to keep these cores together and prorate deals and do things like that. So, Coach, like, realistically, it's probably like three years with this team. I would say you have a lot of these guys under contract for the next 3 years, and then I think you have Jalen, right? So then I think you can always retool around him. But this particular squad, like offensively, you got most of the guys for the next 3-4 years, right?
I honestly think it's just all going to depend on how they structure Jalen's contract, man.
Yeah.
Well, do you disagree? All right, go ahead.
He's getting like at least $40 to $45 million.
He's getting 45.
Yeah.
Champ at that right there. He's getting 45. Count that, and let's move from there. But I mean, I agree with you, Coach. That contract gonna mean a whole lot of everything. At least how I personally view it at this measurement. I mean, trusting Howie, but understand the fact that your quarterback about to get a whole hell of a lot of money. You gotta sign CJ Gardner-Johnson back, and after that, I'm here for a ride.
Well, so what do you think? We'll answer the question then. What's your window?
My window for this championship is probably 2 or 3 years.
So you're on the lower end, but 3 years is where we're kind of ending up.
Yeah, I think if the Eagles, by the third year, there will be a chance for that championship to happen. The only way that championship happens is if we have the amount of caliber players that we have right now. And that's not even saying like roster construction caliber. It's like in terms of the guys like the Kelseys, the Brandon Grahams, the Fletcher Cox, guys that you know that are star mates of your roster. If we have a couple of those, it's highly plausible that we can create a championship.
And that's what I
in the next 3 years. But that's that 2 year window.
You don't think we have some of those guys in building?
I don't know, man. It's only guy I can chalk up to that right now is Jalen Hurts. I mean, Hassan Reddick Hassan says he wants to become one, but based on my knowledge right now, Hassan ain't one of them. The only time Hassan became one of them was for Super Bowl, the Super Bowl weekend when he's talked about how much this meant to the city. And that's because he's from the area. So I would like
but I'm talking from
the next year.
From the area, he's from the city.
He's from Camden. He's not.
That's literally like
Philly, bro.
That's literally like, and you hit Camden.
I mean, yeah, but if y'all operate how we operate down here, if you, like you said, Coach, you in PG County, but the difference between PG County and DC is stark.
No, but it's different with Camden. Like, bro, I do it way too often, given that I live in the city. But if I just miss a turn, I end up taking the bridge into Camden. Like it's right there. It's like the 76ers practice facility is there.
That's what's directly like over the wall.
It's literally right there. I remember when we was leaving Philly from not the last time, but the time before we went there. The time we got engaged when we was leaving. We ended up in Camden. We needed gas. And we stopped at a gas station. And mind you, I went to school up there. So I know how it all works. But my wife, we stopped at the gas station and I went to pay and I got back in the car and she was like, "You not gonna pump the gas?" And I'm like, "We're in New Jersey, baby. They do that themselves. We ain't gotta do nothing."
That's such a weird thing.
I don't like it.
It's still weird for people that live in PA.
Yeah, that's true. That is different.
I don't like people going near my car. So
yeah,
I mean, he's just trying to get you filled up.
Okay.
Then you gotta tip them, and you gotta. Yeah,
I don't tip
the gas is
nobody.
expensive.
I don't tip nobody. What are you talking about tipping people for pumping my gas? Bro, you getting paid by the hour to pump my shit. Ain't tipping you nothing.
You caught that quote?
You don't like nobody. You don't want to tip nobody. You don't like nobody filling you
Coach is
up.
a
What you here
curmudgeon,
for?
All right. Do I have to send that GIF again in the group?
Go
Gary and I rounding
Birds.
our asses up.
Go Birds.
All right, yeah, we need to stop so Coach can get some beauty sleep.
Championship window for the Eagles is about 2 to 3 years. 2 to 3 years. And the reason for that, when you re-sign Jalen, right, a lot of contracts are backloaded contracts, especially like that's history with the Eagles. And then you also got to look at the age of important positions, right? Like our run game is legitimately based around Lane Johnson and his ability and what he can do and what he can't do, and Jason Kelce. Obviously, Jason.
Talk to me. I ain't mean to interrupt you, but talk to me. Because you've said that numerous times this year. So I want to know what you mean. So you think that Lane Johnson is the pillar player in terms of this run right now? Not Jason Kelce? Because
I think it's three people. It's Lane Johnson, Jason Kelce, and Jalen Hurts. Those are the three main things that make the engine go with the run game.
But it's a potential we can lose two of those three in the next 3 years. So
right. So that's why I'm saying our Super Bowl window is 2 to 3 years.
And you know what you do? Cam Jurgens, Jalen Hurts, Pete Skoronski.
Brother, they keep talking about Cam Jurgens playing guard, and I'm like, bro, if you don't sit your ass down, you are a center.
He was drafted to replace Kelce.
Well, it's because they don't want to sign back Samalu, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And
I'm like,
sign his ass back either.
Malu job, bro. I mean, I feel you. I wouldn't sign him back. I mean, I like Sid Malu. I wouldn't say I wouldn't sign him back, but yo, you are a center. That was what happened. We keep doing this shit, man. We did it with Sid Malu. We did it with Dickerson. Like, we keep drafting these guys with the intention you the Kelce replacement. And then we sit here like, we'll go play guard. All because we know at some point they don't want to pay Sid Malu. It's been leading up to this for almost 3 years now. They gave him that extension. And they was like, okay, now what are we going to do after this? Because we're not
Can we get Brandon Brooks back? Because he's still in our books right now.
Man.
Just call his ass back up and be like, yo, one more.
It's just, it's stressing me out. People talking about Cam Jurgens playing guard, man. I feel he being cross trained. You got Jeff Stoutland the GOAT, but I don't know, man.
So do you want him just sitting on the bench then? Like,
yeah. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. And I mean, I'm big positional value. Make sure you execute all of your draft process, your draft assets in the same way. That's me. At the same breath, when I talk about, and I guess I can't even say when I talk about my favorite team, because I'm like this when I talk about every team. If it's worth it, let me cook. Cam Jurgens, if you're gonna bring me back another year, Kelce, I'm more than willing to let you sit there on the bench and stew. Just sit there and learn from Jason Kelce. Don't play guard. I'm glad we can cross train you if an emergency happens and we got to play you there. You ain't no bums or something, but you sit and you learn, especially after what I seen last preseason. Oh, you're not moving. You stuck. That's you. You just sit here and learn from Jason Kelce and soak up all the knowledge that you can and don't move. I will worry about guard, especially because knowing that Howie Roseman, like, he invests a lot. And that's why I keep, if anybody sees, I didn't do one this week because I was so heartbreaking because of laws, but I'll be back next week. But anybody who watched the mock draft Monday that I put out, early in the draft, the Eagles invested in a swing tackle, basically, a guy who they could see as a future right tackle once Lane goes off in the sunset, but somebody they can play and guard internally, because that's my idea. But if we're looking at Cam Jurgens, I'm not moving him. I'm not touching him. You do what you're going to do. And I'm going to find somebody I can play a guard. But you keep learning from Jason Kelce. That's all I want. Because it's hard to find guys like this.
Yeah, it just wouldn't make sense to me to move Cam to guard, especially when, like you said, Quo, we saw how he played in the preseason. Basically looked like a Jason Kelsey clone. And, you drafted him in the second round to be Kelsey's replacement. Let him do what you drafted him to do. It's that simple to me.
Definitely, man. So, at least seeing how the offensive line is set up, I mean, we go through this almost every year, and it wouldn't surprise me if we go through this every year. But Howie Roseman is going to invest in the offensive line. Now, I've been I've been struggling to figure out. I've told myself basically it's probably going to be in the second round because I think Bird's going to go cornerback early round one. And
with a Spoon or Gonzalez, man.
Yeah. I'm big on Cam Smith. We can take Cam Smith if we want to.
Well, you shake your head, Coach.
But
I don't like taking DBs in the first round. It just doesn't really work out often, other than what Sauce this past year. What other guy has come in and played? Because think about it. My thing is, if we have a championship window of 2 to 3 years, a guy that is playing on the outside as a corner for us, right? He needs to come in and he needs to be effective and he needs to make plays and really kind of have his influence on the defense early on. I don't trust a rookie to do that in an important spot like that, which is what I was kind of hinting at when we were talking the other day, in the group, about these draft picks. And I mentioned, obviously, a pick that everyone's like, oh, you don't need to, invest in that early on in the draft. Like, it's just not smart to do that, right? But there's reasons for that because that translates quickly, that position. I don't want to draft positions in the first round right now at this window where we have to wait 2 years before we start seeing the Pro Bowl potential, All-Pro potential, right? I don't want to do that.
Let's get into that a little bit because I remember me, you, and Parth had this conversation early on in the season, Coach. Probably like, let's say week 10 or 12, between week 10 and 12 of the regular season. And I'd like to think everybody has kept their same sentiment. I know I personally feel the same way. You sound like you feel the same way, and I'm pretty sure that Park feels the same way about his sentiment. You ain't taking no running back in the first round. But I get what you're saying. Now, how I always presented it, Coach, was more so a who are we? Depending on the team. And I also said that the Eagles are one of them teams that intrigues me, especially given current roster construction. Now, we've talking about finding a cornerback, what can be considered CB1 cornerback in this class early on. Based on my knowledge of the class, you might can find one in round 2. It's gonna be Starch. I mean, if you're lucky enough, you can get your hands on Trayvon Hodges Tomlinson or Emmanuel Ford.
I'd dump Maddox immediately and take him.
Yeah, I want to think guys like that. You might get your hands on someone like that where you can have a heavy influence on the secondary. I wouldn't even say dump Maddox. If we get a Maddox, if we can get him, then we can have a great rotation between him and Maddox. Maddox rotating to the other safety on besides C.J. Gardner-Johnson. We talking ball. But, things of that nature, I feel you. There are a lot of different ways. Hell, I'm steadfast on team going to invest in cornerback too, especially given the fact that I just don't think that James Bradbury will be back. And the quarterback two in this scheme is important. I can promise you that. That said, I feel you, Coach. I feel you. And I said I feel you a long time ago, and I continue to say I feel you. Watching how this Eagles offense is constructed, watching the kind of running back that B. John Robinson is, brother, if you can put B. John Robinson in this backfield next to Jalen Hurts, across from Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown, you talk about a championship window. What are you going to do, defenses? Because they literally have everything everything at their disposal. And we like to think we watch this Eagles offense and we talked all year long about, so what do defenses do to beat this team? And clearly there was a way. The Chiefs found a way. And we sat here and talked about the lack of usage of Miles Sanders, probably because of that early fumble and all of these natures. But you got a guy like Bijan Robinson, who many people view as the best feature back since Saquon Barkley, where
He's better.
I ain't comparing him, but I'm just saying since then. But like, it's something on the table where you got yourself a franchise caliber running back, and I understand I'm the breadwinner of positional value. I feel you. It doesn't make sense. I wouldn't do it. But I also said to you, Parth, a couple months ago, the only way I would do it is if it makes sense for my roster. Now, Howie Roseman has to figure.
You know what it makes sense?
out.
You know what it makes sense for? Protecting your damn quarterback so he doesn't have to run the ball 15 plus times in big games.
Yeah, but again, positional value.
But again, what?
Why the hell am I going to pay all
I think
this money
Positional
for
value is different depending on the team and the structure and the identity of the football team.
Yeah, I feel you. So what would you, I tell you this, what would you rather pay X amount of money for great running back or X amount of money for great cornerback play? Talk to me. Or you tell me this.
What do you mean? Because if I'm drafting a rookie, I'm not paying top dollar for him. I'd rather pay a free agent corner that has experience in this league and experience running against NFL.
My whole thing, I mean, again, remember who you're talking to. Scout Quill. This Scout Quill at this point. You're going to have to pay him at some point. So
That's
you
great.
tell me
I don't got to pay him for 5 years.
invest. Yeah, sure. I don't care if you want to invest in it in 5
Super Bowl
years
window
or 3 years.
Yeah, I'm with
Are you going to invest top dollar because you talking about you banking on, especially if this is a first round pick, you banking on this player being the best player that they can be 5 years from now. So if you talk about having the best player that they can be in terms of Bijan Robinson at running back, or the best player that they can be in terms of, let's say, a Davon Witherspoon at cornerback, I'm taking cornerback. Because why the hell would you pick a running back over a cornerback? Cornerback means more.
Your quarterback's going to run the ball on average 15 times in a game in big-time games, and he's never going to finish a full season playing a full season.
How I view your general manager, the guy who gets paid to do all this, has to find better investments. Because, again, like I said, you're talking to Scout Quill. This running back class is deep. I'm not about to, I mean, I love Bijan. I love him with all my heart. I would hope the Eagles take him there. But if they didn't, I'm not going to cry myself to sleep that night because I know this running back class is super deep. So if I don't get Bijan here, I can get somebody in the 3rd round, the 4th round, who I feel like is I can get Zach Evans in the 3rd, 4th round, who I personally feel like is a quality running back in this class, who I have personally ranked at running back 8, because this running back class is so deep. I got guys like Kendre Miller, Tajay Spears, who just barely made the list.
Look, all I'll say is we talk about every year about how it's deep, and there is, without a doubt, there's a couple backs who are diamonds in the rough. But I understand what Coach is saying. If you have the chance, like in the mock draft that I sent you guys, right? I move back to pick 24, and I take Bijan right there, right? And I think that's totally fine there. And I see what Coach is saying because Quell, you don't need to necessarily pay your player after 5 years. Like he said, if our championship window is 3 years, I'm running the legs off of Bijan, and he's just running behind this offensive line that we still have for the next couple of years.
Because if you get a Super Bowl out of it within the first 3 years, you get a Super Bowl out of it, Parth, right? That's pretty much worth that draft pick,
you getting a Super Bowl out of that. Because if you don't get a Super Bowl out of that, you're gonna look like Jerry Jones, or you're gonna look
because Jerry Jones extended him. Well, Jerry Jones extended it. If he didn't extend Zeke, and he used
you're gonna look like the Jaguars. You're gonna look like the Jaguars general manager, whoever that was at that point in time. When you took Leonard Fournette with a top 7 pick, and you traded him,
look like the Jaguars right now, who took Travis Etienne and are looking like geniuses.
But between the time that they cut him and now, what did they do? Nothing. All because you invested a top 4 to 7 pick in a running back.
That's not a top. Wow. We're not saying a top 4 to 7 pick, Quell. And the Jaguars just took Etienne, and they look like they look like geniuses right now.
He at the back end of the first round, bro. I just sat here and said you could take a running back there. If you want to talk to me about what you said,
we're both saying that you trade. I don't know what. Bro, we're both saying that you can trade back and take a running back in the first, and you're like, no, I'm not taking Bijan in the first. That's what you're saying.
I don't think that Bijan's going to be there then. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, sure, we could talk about that right here, but at some point we're going to have to talk about who the hell are the best football players. And all I know is Bijan Robinson is ranked the number 3 football player on my board. So you can talk about positional value and all that. It's going to be some team that says the hell with that.
You want to talk about positional value?
The Philadelphia Eagles.
Answer this question.
But
answer the question. In the 3 years from now, after this draft, who would make a larger impact on your football team, on the field? Bijan Robinson or one of these mid freaking corners that you guys keep pumping up to be like high first round draft picks? Come on, which one? Over the next 3 years. Over the next 3 years, and you better be honest.
If you're talking about 3 years as a whole, probably Bijan, because of what we can use him as now. If you're talking about just fast forward 3 years,
but that's the point. If we have a 3-year window like we just talked about, that's the point. That's why you make that move, and then you figure out corner.
Hey, you know what I mean? If that's what you stand on, I agree. That's why I said what I said to you a while back, Park. There is there is
right, and so I'm agreeing with
take a running back in the early rounds.
I'm saying we're in that window right now.
Look at your roster and say that you there now, based on the conversation that me and you had, then Park versus what we having right now. I don't think the Eagles roster is there. I think you can find a running back in the later rounds and be just as content and take somebody who's going to mean something in terms of when you're going to have to pay up some contracts. Because I'm not trying to pay a running back top dollar 5 years from now when my roster is kind of deteriorating and everybody's getting older and Devonta Smith owed a contract and A.J. Brown owed a contract and Dallas Goedert owed a contract. And we sitting here looking like rebuild versus paying a damn cornerback at a position that of value that means something. Or paying an edge, or paying a tackle, something.
All I'll say is we've been spoiled with Miles. We took him in the second round, but we played this late round running back game, and we had Donnell Pumphrey in the room. We had Wendell Smallwood. We had guys.
Don't take him in the second round.
Look, I'm saying we had guys, but like you can bet on the later guys, but it's not by any means a shoe-in. And when you have a guy like Bijan, I think the delta in between him and the other guys, like the guy is special. Like he's just obviously a very special running back. This class, like you said, has a lot of talent, but he's head and shoulders the best running back, right? And so I think the delta there can make up for you taking a player that high, right? And then you can deal with corner, but I feel like we are in that window. There are places you could address, but offensively we are an absolute juggernaut. And if you can add to that.
I don't know, brother. I mean, maybe it's just PTSD from the last time we was in this position and we thought we was in that window. We could do whatever you want and let's trade back and acquire draft picks. And that's when you end up drafting Donnell Pumphrey. But granted, we ended up with Zach Ertz. I mean, Dallas Goedert in the second round. Thank God. Yeah, sure. But you trade the first pick and you trade Lamar Jackson. And that all I'm saying is, there are really good football players to be had in the first round. And I don't think I'm going to be giving out really many first-round grades for this group. But guys at the top of this class, especially if you talk about getting
but that's like Jamari Gibbs, you said he's the number 3 player in the class. And you're saying that he's not, like, you wouldn't use a first-round pick on him then?
Dude, positional value, Quell. Get with it.
Positional value, as I was just about to say, positional value. I'm the same one who sat here and argued to you why the hell we shouldn't have drafted that safety in round 1 called Parf. And he was the number 1 player on my board. So you damn right. I'm gonna sit here and argue about the number 3 player.
I think when you have a team I think when you're coming off of a Super Bowl run, you take the best player possible.
We did that last time.
Everybody.
What do you mean we did that last time? You just said we traded out of the pick, so we didn't. That doesn't make sense.
We traded out, and how did that help us? The next year we was ass.
We picked up Dallas Goedert. We're not going to take a quarterback at 32 the year after we won the Super Bowl, dude. Come on. Like, let's.
Aren't y'all trying to sit here and figure out a chess piece that can help us win? But then you just sit here and say we're not going to figure out a chess piece the year after we won a Super Bowl? This the year after we lost the Super Bowl, and you expect us to figure out a chess piece? What the hell is that?
What do you mean? We have it. What are you talking about? I'm so confused.
Just sat here and said to me That was the year after we won a Super Bowl, bro. You expect us to figure out a chess piece?
I said
we traded out of the spot. And now
I
this
said
the
we're not
year that
drafting a quarterback. I didn't say anything about a chess piece. I said we're not drafting a quarterback at 32.
Yeah, but that pick could have been anybody.
It could have been Dallas Goedert, but we picked up a pick and we still got Dallas Goedert.
Stop coughing.
Yeah, sure. If that's what you want to go with. But all I'm
That's
saying
five
is
since
really good
you
football
started. That's
players to
five
be
times.
had and still could have had dollars.
Who was there? I mean, there were maybe some defensive players, but you pick them up and then you pick up a top 3 tight end in the league. I think we were fine.
I mean, everybody who's listening, because I've been quiet throughout this entire discussion, but everybody yeah, I have. Everybody who's listening, you guys know my thoughts on running backs and the value of that position. You don't pay the position, you don't draft the position in the first round. Looking at this Eagles roster, I think
it's a conversation to be had.
Yeah, there's a conversation to be had. An exception could be made for Bijan Robinson, I feel like.
Yeah, I wouldn't make that exception very often.
I feel y'all. Maybe again, it's just the scout in me, but I feel like I have this conversation with somebody every year. If I know Howie Roseman, like I know Howie Roseman, that ain't happening, y'all. Get over it. Let's just not talk about it because there's no reason. We just building a pipe dream right now.
We also said that Howie Roseman wasn't going to draft a running back in the second round.
Why are you building pipe dreams? Talk about what these teams could really draft, basically. So I'm not. I mean, yeah, I would love for the team. I just sat here and say you can find me on Twitter saying I would love for them to draft Bijan, but I just don't think it's plausible.
I don't know. We've seen how we didn't see him draft a running back like before the second round for years, and he took Miles. If he gets infatuated,
we had that's literally his track record. The last running back we had him take, damn, something failed. But last track record we had him take in that aspect is, it's LaShawn McCoy.
Miles Sanders.
That's literally his window for taking running backs. Is all I'm saying. He takes
his second round. What's the difference between 25 and 37?
Massive. First of all, second of all, the difference is he won't be there.
He was there in my mock.
Yeah, and how many? I did a mock where I had Jalen Carter available at 11. So let's do that.
Underrated part of this episode was me figuring out the box here and where you guys are and how to kind of look at you. Like, well, you're right here. Parth, you're right there. Pierre, you're right here. Pierre's Jesus.
Where's this one at, Coach?
Pierre's Jesus, because I just look up. Rally him in. Round him up, Pierre.
But I think that was everything we had on the itinerary, right?
Hey, if Quell says positional value again, I'm quitting.
Brother, it is the off season.
I
suggest you might not get another podcast for the rest of the off season, because positional value is about to be the theme for the next 4 months.
You don't know what positional value is, though. You value the wrong positions.
I hear you. If you out here value in a running back, I pray for
generational running back next to a generational running quarterback.
What you value? Saquon Barkley was a generational running back, and the Giants looking like, why the hell do we do that? And so the Cowboys looking like, why the hell do we do that? The
Giants had Eli Manning and like Sterling, like what was his name? All right, Pierre's all fed up. I'm the one who's actually sick. You got allergies, bro. All right, take a Claritin. All right,
yeah.
Without Benadryl, because that'll put you to sleep.
I'm over here in shambles, bro.
You're in shambles. Look at how I've been this entire episode. I've been ridiculous.
I have
this whole episode.
I have Tylenol right here.
Oh, shut up!
Look, it's not my fault, Pierre. It's them for getting me started, and this is only getting started because we got a long 4 months between when people get drafted and between where we gonna decide what they're playing and all that stuff.
It's ASMR, Coach.
It's gonna go crazy.
Yep, but as always, on whichever podcast streaming platform you're listening on, because we're gonna release this as a podcast, be sure to leave us a like and review. To everybody who joined on the live stream tonight, appreciate you guys for joining. Go Birds, everybody.
Pray for us.
Go Birds.
Go Birds. Pray for us.
Go Birds. Click the button.